Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing great. Today's a real good day for me. My wound isn't too bad. It is a little itchy, but I put alcohol on it last night, so um, just kept it clean all the time and washed it a couple times today already, so it's not bleeding anymore. It did quit bleeding actually quite fast once I found it was there and I put pressure on it just about 10 seconds and the vein if you got a small enough wound on your vein, it will heal pretty quickly if you apply pressure, not too much, but just a little bit to quit the bleeding. So yeah, it still feels a little funky, but I'm doing okay. So yeah, I was out starting a bonfire, picking up sticks and paying some attention to my horse. So she's got a boo-boo on her leg, so I took warm water and peroxide, washed it down. I mean, it's not horrible. I'm keeping it clean, and so she's doing good. It looks better than it did. I mean, it wasn't god awful. It's just that I don't want her to be infected, and I want it to heal quicker. So and that was really cool. One of them giant red-headed woodpeckers flew over me, and I'm thinking, whoa, I thought it was a hawk or an eagle at first, and it flew up in a tree and was looking at me, and it's like definitely Woody the woodpecker. Beautiful, beautiful bird. So we got the little ones too that are red-headed, and they're really cool. A couple of sets of them, so that big one, he'll peck on my house. Well, he has. And I told him that it's naughty and he doesn't do it. But I think if he wants some attention or he just wants to hear me yell at him, I don't know. But I'm like, get off the house. Dang it, bird. And, and then it's like maybe once a year he'll peck on the house, you know if there's a bug, I suppose, or whatever. I think it's just to get my attention. It's like a little kid, they'll keep picking on you and bugging you. Why is the sky blue? Why this? Why that? Oh yeah, we had so much talk about burritos around here. Guess what's for supper? That's what Doug had last night. So he went to get some sour cream and we're having more burritos. And I told him to pick up buttermilk and yogurt. You just plain yogurt. I'm gonna use to culture some more of my own. So just make homemade yogurt and maybe kefir, if you know what that is. It's like a buttermilk. I'll have to see. Maybe Greek yogurt, which has more proteins because you let it sit longer, and so, or cheese, or both. I'm not sure yet. But then I've been thinking cooking some wild rice and making some wild rice bread. So, with white flour and rice, you cook the rice first and just throw it I think it calls for a half a cup. If you put more than that in there, it'll make the bread fall apart. So, you wouldn't want that. Then it'd just be doughy rice. Yuck, that doesn't sound good. But so I'm thinking about different things. I'm always thinking about food. I mean, when I was young and went to chef's class, um, and then helped plan menus for when I was working in the kitchen at a high school, well, and the elementary school, but I didn't plan the menus in the elementary or the middle school. But when I got in the kitchen in the high school, I helped plan the menus for the year, which was a lot of fun. I just loved it to help make it nutrition and think up things. And so to me, that was I'm always thinking food, even if I don't eat it. I used to, like with my kids, just really enjoy planning a meal and making sure they are healthy. And I'd even just stand there and watch them eat it. They just got used to me not eating when they were, didn't bother them at all. Some people it bothers them, but and it used to bother Doug. He's like, "You want some? You want some?" I'm like, "No, I don't want it." Um, it's just if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat, even if it smells good. Or there's times I may even be hungry and I don't, and I want to eat, but I won't eat because I'm taking care of myself that day. It's like, no, I'll wait till later when I'm really hungry, then eat just the amount I was going to eat anyway. And that keeps me from eating too much all day. So they say breakfast is your best meal. I beg to differ. And I'll tell you why. Because your proteins get absorbed into your body at night when you're resting. That's when your body digests more. Not, I mean, you can work your calories out of you. Don't get me wrong. If you're working your butt off, you should be supplementing yourself with some kind of nutrition or something. No doubt. There's not a doubt in my mind. But if you eat your proteins at night with some vegetables or something so it goes through your system the way it's supposed to, then it's going into your muscles while you rest. And that's the best time to eat your proteins. And I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. 61 and flipping strong. I am strong, really strong. And yeah, I work hard at it, but I'm telling you, as far as my diet, I usually don't eat until nighttime. And sometimes that's 9 or 10. And they say, oh, don't eat this and don't eat that at this time or that time. Well, then why am I lean and mean? And they're having issues with that because, and why are these so called nutritionalists first, um, bacon's bad for you, then you can have it. Then butter's bad for you. Now you can have it. And I always knew that vegetable oil didn't uh, digest in my body as readily as a animal oil did. It's like the old timers, when they used lard to cook something in, that lard didn't soak into whatever they were frying and it would drain off, and they were healthy, they were strong. If they would have had the medical attention that people with money have nowadays, not the regular people, I know better, but not the average person. But back in the day, if they would have had that medical care, they would have had life spans that were longer too. And then they're like uh their guidelines on pasteurization with dairy and different things. The old timers knew if you heated it up to 80 degrees, it's about 83 to 86 degrees. I milked my own cow. Um, on a ranch that I worked on. So I had like buku amounts of cream and butter and milk, and I'd take it in and I'd pasteurize it to my 83 degrees. And nobody I've ever known that was a dairy farmer has ever been sick. It's like friends of mine, the Hancocks, they never were sick, and they were like the strongest people I ever knew. Well, I mean, not really, but I mean very strong people, So anyway, but yeah, Doug even, well, he made a mixture of what he's going to put in his burrito tonight. He put some bratwurst in there. First he started with the onion. He fried a whole onion, and then he put in he even put in kimchi. He put in some beer brats that he made. Um, Chopped them up, and he put in some summer sausage and put lettuce on there and salsa. And I don't think I'm going to do all that. I'll probably just take like, I don't know what I'm going to have yet. Sometimes I don't even know until that night. But I did make my own kimchi. Not the stuff he used, but I have some in a big, big jar that I made. It's with carrots and broccoli and cauliflower and celery. Um, so I aged that, and then once it started fermenting, you start it out on the counter, and then you can keep it in your refrigerator forever. But a lot of the kimchis have like chili peppers or whatnot in there, and the ones that I made can be either cooked or eaten in salads and stuff. I haven't tried it yet. I do like sauerkraut. I'm not supposed to have cabbage, but it's on the order of that, so that's why I made it. I thought, well, if I want something fermented for the good probiotics, then I'll have something that I've already made in a half-gallon jar. And then I make like pickled eggs. That's the way to preserve, if you got too many eggs, which I did. I just had a ton of them, and you boil them up and put them. And a lot of people will put like pickling spice in there or whatnot. I didn't do that, but I did do something that I saw the Norwegians do for Christmas. They put canned beets in there, and that will turn the eggs kind of a pinkish color. And then when they cut them, they're really pretty on a plate. Well, I just did it because I had some extra pickled beets and I just threw them in there. And that was around Easter time. And I thought, well, there I got Easter eggs already. But and I've had some. I'll take them out and I'll cut them on a salad, or you can make egg salad with them or anything. I just like to take them out. You don't need salt on them or anything, but some people put pepper in there when they're making them. I didn't. So last night I just had peanut butter sandwich. First I had some of my homemade jerky. It's garlic jerky. Then I had peanut butter sandwich, and then well, it was our anniversary. I had coconut cake. It was Pepperidge Farm, so I had some of that. So I don't really celebrate it. Um, I don't settle for less than I want in my life. It's not like I'm jumping from person to person in my life, but I was married when I was 17, and this guy was really very ill. I had it annulled. Um, then I was with my son's father for almost, let me see, 15, 16 years, almost 16 years. We were married for 10. So I've had two very long term relationships in my life. So it's like, well, you know, obviously I have a bad habit of, well, nobody's actually perfect anyway. You know what I mean? But it's just, you know, um, let me say this delicately. Well, I say it a lot. I will not settle. It goes for friends too. I won't settle for anything less than what I expect out of myself. And I feel that way about my friends and my family, anybody. It doesn't matter. I really have no family members I really talk to. A daughter-in-law, my oldest son, and my youngest son's madder than hell right at me right now because I told him to marry the girl he was with. Well, he's with a new one right now, but he changes them quite often. And yeah, I said it to piss him off. I wanted to wake him up. Wake up, dude. Whatever. Whatever. I just feel people should treat each other better in this world. And yeah, a piece of paper does matter, you know. So, um, oh, speaking of my youngest, his name is John. He made this. This is my ashtray he made me. When he was little, when he brought it home, I said, "Let me guess. I know what you were doing. It wasn't an ashtray, was it? It was a cup, wasn't it?" And he said, "How did you know?" I said, "Because when I was your age and I first started making clay things in art class, I made one like I was making a cup. And that's exactly what it looked like." And it was really pretty. It was sort of, and then he painted pink on here, and this used to have some like green. I don't know if you can see it, but, and it's hard. They baked it. But yeah, we've got excellent clay around here. I made my stepdaughter a little teeny dog like her dog. The dog's name was Reefer, but when I moved in, I called her Woofy because I didn't want the kids calling a dog Reefer. So Woofy was good, you know. but she had curly hair, curly black hair. So I made this dog just curly black hair out of clay. First, I, made it, sculpted it, painted her, and then I fired it um, in my wood stove and then gave it to her for a shadow box that her dad had made her. So to put on one of the shelves. So she had a memory of the dog that she had when she was a kid. So yeah, really turned out nice, really pretty. So I could sell this clay, and there's so much of it I'd never run out if I got in desperate times. But there's a lot of resources around here that I really, really could make a living doing. So I don't ever feel destitute in my life anyway, because I don't worry like that, because um, something always good comes out of no matter what I'm doing. I always make it no matter where I've been. So, you know, one time, uh, when my youngest John was young, his older brother had already left, and we dug worms, and he would sell the worms, and people gave him like tips and good money just for being out there selling worms. And when the kids were young, they would sell like some of our garden veggies and apples and different things around. They'd pick and wash and take care of and sell. So I'd let them take our wagon. They would put veggies and different things in bags and go down to the end of our dirt road up by the highway and sell their stuff. So, little farming community, small town. So when the oldest one was old enough to be legally in care of his brother, which was 12. So when they were 12 and 9, they were selling their own veggies and different things. So I did a lot of that when I was young too, and so did Doug. Whatever it took to make the world go around. His parents were fabulous gardeners. Sweet corn, tomatoes, their potatoes were red potatoes, Pontiacs. Oh, the best potatoes in the world. And their onions were so strong tasting, they had propagated them for years. And talk about a potent onion. It's like, whoa, you know. So yeah, so I'm always thinking like food stuff. What's the next thing I'm going to do, or what am I going to use, and how am I going to use it? And everybody's got to eat. I'm sure we all do that, but I kind of do it in a really big way. Like I used to skin deer and antelope and every other animal in the world because I had to when I was young, and flaying fish and selling the fillets, catching them first. Got to dig the worms or whatever we're using for bait, and everything. Just doing it all. Learning how to preserve things and make it in this world if things were to ever go bad, because I've been in situations that's all there was. So like for instance, people would I only killed one deer in my life, but I used to take in, like, I had 7 antelope to do from these hunters, and I got one free for doing them. And then my friends brought in a couple deers, and we split that for me, skinning them and taking care of everything. And the one, they came over because his teeth were bad, and couldn't afford any surgery or anything like that. But he shot a deer, 2 of them, and he ground a bunch up for hamburgers, so he had the deer burger and that type of thing. But then I was looking at like sausage making online, and I do have a recipe. I'll have to pull it out. I will share it with you guys. I'll pull it out in maybe next week or something. I won't forget. But you take hamburger and you can literally make your own baked summer sausage in the oven. Um, it's better than store-bought lunch meat. And I was watching a guy make his own bologna, which, I'd rather, because you don't have to put preservatives in it, then you just eat it. Or you can smoke them. different meats if you make like your own luncheon meat and that type. I smoked a ham a couple weeks ago and put some of it in my beans. It was fabulous. I smoked it with maple, so it was really good. So, yeah. So today I've got some plants I'm going to transfer, and Doug's off doing some errands, getting some grain for the horse, and checking on a mechanic because our driving car that we drive every day um, could be electronic relay. He tried the gas pump and the filter and everything. So anyway, we have a friend that's a really good mechanic. He's got a shop, and we're more into the body work, but it's not that either one of us aren't mechanically inclined. But when you need the codes for your car, they know what they're doing. They got you. They got, like, when you can't just go out there and say change a starter or your coil and everything's going to be good to go. It's not like that anymore. They got you by the boo boo when you got to go in and have it read in order for the codes to be reset so your car will run. It's like, yeah, even a backyard mechanic can't really take care of these new computerized cars unless you have the code reader, to restart. So then if you take it to the dealership, it's like $700, even though he already did all the mechanics on it. It's to reset the codes. It's like, oh, you jerks. That's what they do. So the average person cannot fix their vehicles. But anyway, back to the food thing and the plants. We're going to put in a couple fence posts so I can put a line up to keep the horse away from some of the plants I want to put out in that area. So, yeah. I've got like a gazillion pretty good size Roma tomato plants and some squash. One's a butternut and what was the other one? Acorn. So, but it wasn't a very good acorn squash. We used to grow them when I was a kid, and they were the best tasting. But now they're not yellow like they used to be, kind of orange. They're kind of white and pale and just really grody looking. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll grow better with really good black soil. It makes a whole lot of difference what your growing medium is. If it were like from another state, or if the farmland had been totally um, used up from its nutrients and not replaced. That's a big deal too. So, yeah. Then I have something coming up that I've been getting some scriptures compiled and stuff. So I'll let you. I'll put it on the title if you're not into any debates about the King James Bible. I got some people that are thinking on Satan. It's like on that shit. I got some shit for them. Um, Proof in the scriptures, if that's what it takes to wake somebody up, I guess that's what it's going to be. And I've been waiting. It's like I've been waiting about 2 weeks. Well, I've been waiting a little longer, but see, now here I feel in a different sense like the spirit, which is bad, I'll say, versus the spirit what's in human beings, which is good. Well, it's like, okay, here's a for instance. There's like sayings, stupid sayings. I think my opinion is like you can't have good without evil. Okay, that's kind of like saying like you'll never know what it is to be hurt unless I punch you in your freaking head as hard as I can, or drop kick you in your face. There you go. Gee, if I never would have drop kicked you in your face, you wouldn't have known what pain was and you wouldn't have known what evil was. Now, you're so happy I don't kick you every day. How stupid is that? It's like having a baby. What do you got to do? Smack it in the head every day so it knows what good is when you stop smacking it? And then what? is it supposed to say, "Oh, thank you, mommy dearest, for not smacking me today. I feel so much better because now I know the difference between good and evil." That's freaking ludicrous. So I found some scriptures on that stuff, and I'll let you know on the outside of my video on the day that I'm gonna slam dunk this shit. So just a pre-warning that I get a little fired up with people's bullshit sometimes, and this is one of them times. Although I have really high regard for the person that it's pointed at, um, this person is 20 years my junior, and I just know better. I know better, just like from the scenario I just told you. It's like, okay, I guess I'll slap you every day in your head so you can know what good is when I stop slapping you, right? That's just ridiculous. You know, it is. So, and I got some firepower to prove that. So, just with my words right there should prove it, but it may not. So, yeah. For my friends that are having a rough day today, feel better, get better, and don't take any crap from nobody. Just walk away. And if you can't walk away, just keep repeating inside yourself, I'm going to be dead someday and this will all be over. So, yeah, yeah, that's a fact. And I do believe in a life hereafter. I believe I existed before and I know I will again. The energy's in us, you know. And I do believe the promise that things will be better than it is right here. I believe it's a training ground, but I also believe that we don't have to be hurt to know what bad is, you know, especially if we know that other people have been hurt. If you see somebody shot, you don't have to be shot to know that that's probably not a good thing, you know. Or if somebody's choking or somebody's diabetic and they go into shock or something, you know, we don't need to experience these things to realize they exist. And I'm certainly not going to think the person inflicting that shit on people I love, that's not ever going to happen. So, yeah. Hey, Cindy, my girl up in Mille Lacs. How you doing, neighbor? Thank you for the best wishes on my boo-boo. Yeah, my sore. It is better today. And yeah, we got to get together. We will. We will. You ever been watching that Seven again? I just happened to turn him on this morning. I thought, okay, I'll give it a chance again. He's got like a black turtleneck pulled up to here and he's talking and I'm like, oh no, dude. But really, really drives me batty is him banging on that Tibetan bowl. See, when I was in learning all the different instruments in our school, we were very fortunate. We had like everything. I ended up playing the flute first, but I tried a big Tibetan bowl and a small Tibetan bowl. They put it in a piece of velvet, and you don't ever bang on it. It's made out of brass. Brass can chip, it can crack, it can warp. These artisans that made these brass bowls, they carved them by hand, they polished it. The way they polish it with sand and by hand, and the carvings, it's so intricate. The last thing you would ever want to do is bang on that to make a Tibetan bowl sing. You start by the rim and you don't ever go down on the design. You don't really need to go on the inside of the bowl. He puts rocks in there and stuff and he's banging on that thing, and you just start real slow going, and then pretty soon it starts singing. You can change directions to make the tone different or start on a different part of the bowl. But I seen him do it every time and this is the beginning of his video. He bangs that thing, I'm out of there. I'm totally out of there. It used to be illegal for us to import uh, brass things from India or Indonesia. let me show you something. I got a huge brass collection, but this is my most prized. I love turtles. I have a carved turtle from the Ozarks too, but and this has the artisan's initials. But every little detail in that carved, when it's hot, they carve that with their little tools and whatnot. I'm going to get his face in there. Very heavy. It's not very big. Isn't that beautiful? I got a little turtle too that's brass, but this is my favorite. And I have deer and swans and all kinds of oh, pots like for plants and bells made out of brass. And I gave one to my oldest son, Luke. And this one is going to go to my son, John. And I'll tell you why. I had this old green couch I ended up selling to a neighbor of mine. Well, it wasn't so old and it was very well taken care of. This was missing. This was a present from my father, and he got it from a jeweler, which had it imported for me, and so it's very precious. Well, I couldn't find my turtle. I don't know if my youngest, put it in that couch to torture me or what. But when I sold the couch, my friend and I were going to get some cigarettes. We were getting money out of our couches and chairs. We were pretty young moms still at the time. And she appreciated it because I used her truck and got my couch over to her house by myself because she had cancer at the time and couldn't do really much of anything. So she was really appreciative just for me to do that. Well, so when we found the turtle, but I gave her the story on it and whatnot. And so for me thinking that my youngest son did that, that's one thing that I'm definitely just going to leave to him, whether he did it or not. Something for him to remember forever. So either way, he wins on that one. But no, I have different things that I'm going to leave to each kid, you know, and land, whatever it is, and my personal items, and you know. But so that's one thing. I got this from my grandmother. That's velvet lined. It's really old. Her husband, my grandpa, gave it to her. I keep my one of my rings, and this is a tanzanite diamond. I don't know. Oh, and my I just like quarter carat diamond earrings. That's about, but yeah, that's one of my favorites. I gave a lot of my jewelry to one of my granddaughters. I don't know for sure if the baby is actually mine or not, and it doesn't really matter. It's just a chance that she could be. I gave her a pretty expensive ring in case her mother ever gets in a jam and needs something, so that type of thing. But yeah, so that's like one of my prized possessions, and yeah, these are really the only earrings I like. Just that big. Tiny, huh? I'm not one for big, gaudy, godacious, bodacious, grodacious pieces of jewelry if I do wear them. It's like, and then I'm only supposed to have now sterling silver or platinum, so which isn't really a big deal. I mean, sterling silver is one of your. It's not cheap, but it's available all over the place. So, but I used to love like white gold and Black Hills gold. Um, I gave a bunch of my Black Hills gold and my some of my pearls to my stepdaughter for when she was getting married. She wore my pearl earrings. So yeah, and I'm gonna leave her my pearl necklace to go with it someday. But I kept that because I might want to wear it. But yeah. So that's about all that's going on today. Just kind of rambling on here a little bit. There's not, to me, a lot of videos right now that I want to watch, and I thought maybe y'all feel kind of like that too. So I thought, well, I'll make a video for you to watch and listen to and say hello and tell you I love you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. And I'll see you soon, probably tomorrow. And God, I was going to say something else. Okay, one moment. Hmm. Well, if I remember, I'll put it on the next video, which I'll probably remember the minute I shut this off. Just watch. But oh, yes, I did remember. See, if I would have said peace, I'd have been gone and I would have forgot. There's a lady called the Ancient Girl's Kitchen, and she's I do believe I'm going to say she's probably Turkish or Greek. I'm maybe Pakistan. I could be entirely wrong. But she's got some recipes like for homemade hummus, which I'm not really supposed to have any beans, which they're made out of garbanzo beans. But I love it. So I might make it someday. And she had a yogurt recipe and a cheese recipe and different ways of making like well, she made a pizza on top of the stove with a lid on her pan instead of heating up her house. And she had cakes that she did like that, and like baklava, which I do believe is Greek, if I'm not mistaken. And she had a lot of Middle Eastern dishes that are pretty common on there. That some of them look really, really good. So I might check out some of her recipes. And I love Heroes with well, I'd rather use beef, but then with the Greek yogurt on there, and oh, they're so good. So and pita bread, and yeah. So okay, everybody. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna say it. I've said it before. You're not my subs. You're my friends. I'm very choosy, and I will get pissed off at what people call trolls. I just call jerks, whatever, creepy people. I can do without, and I'll treat them how they treat me, exactly on that level. So I don't have subs, I have friends. So I have few. Hey, you're righteous. You're the best. Thank you for joining me. Peace, y'all.